Hi, dog lovers. Welcome. I want to first quickly acknowledge each and every one of you for being here today during these super crazy times. And with all that's going on around us, you have chosen to invest your time into something really positive. So kudos to you for joining the Demystifying Canine Nutrition Masterclass. It's brought to you by Wag Out Loud, and my name is Krista. I am the host of the Wag Out Loud podcast, and it's a weekly show where we are obsessed with canine health, nutrition, and overall well-being. And you can learn more about the podcast, our community, partner products, resources, other events just like this, and more by visiting wagoutloud.com. I would like to thank our friends at Parsley Pet. They are sponsoring this event, and they offer a very simple and non-invasive way to discover if your dog or cat is deficient in essential nutrients or has an overabundance of heavy metals in their body. And they're on a mission to help your dog live a longer, healthier life. Also supporting this event and sponsoring is our friends at Dr. Marty Pets, and they're offering products that support your pet's health through Dr. Marty Goldstein's unique vision of animal nutrition. So from top quality dog food and cat food to supplements for joint health, probiotics for digestion, Dr. Marty Pets is here to provide your furry friends with the best pet products available. So be sure to stick around for your chance to win amazing products from our sponsors. And these are products that will no doubt improve your dog's nutrition. So I just want to get some housekeeping out of the way. And if you're new to this Crowdcast platform that we're using, I want to quickly point out some of the great features. And just remind everybody, this is live video stream. So to get the best internet connectivity, it's best to shut down any other windows that you might currently have open. You'll see a link at the bottom. I want you guys to first say hello. It says say something nice in the bottom right. Tell us where you're from. Right now, we have 48 people with us live, and that's going up. 195 people registered for this. Wow, we've got so many great people. Holy cow. Maria, Anne, Akash, Veronica, Ashley, Teresa, Abby, Linda, Dawn. Dawn's from Nevada. We've got Dana from Denver, Karen from Oregon. Oh my gosh, Irene, Tucson. Welcome, everybody. The next thing I want to point out is the polls. So if you look at your bottom middle of the screen, it has polls. And I would love for you guys to let us know if you feel that your dog's diet contains all of the nutrients that they need. Yes or no? Right now, we've got 66% no and 33% yes. So if you guys can go ahead and fill that out, that would be great. Now, where Crowdcast is different, instead of the comments that we just said hello in there in the bottom right, you can see also bottom middle of your screen, ask a question. That is where you're going to actually ask your questions. And it's a really cool feature. So you can also upvote other people's questions. And during the replay of this video, the cool thing is when we answer a question, that will be marked. So anybody that goes back to the replay, if they just want to go back and see what the answer was to that one question, that's going to come up very easily. Yes, there is going to be a replay of this event. And again, stick around because we have some fantastic giveaways. All right, onward. I am so honored to have our experts with us today to talk about how you can be. And we want to, of course, minimize disease and set them up for success so they can lead a long and healthy life. And these people that we have with us today are amazing at what they do. And we're so excited to share some great information with all of you today. We are talking about the science behind canine nutrition and what the healthiest choices are. And I'd like to thank all of our experts that are joining us today. It's an honor to have them here with us. And we're going to just take 15 to 20 minutes for each of their presentations. And afterwards, they are going to take questions. So that's where you go to the Ask a Question link, put your question in there. We're going to start with Dr. Jean Dodds, and then Dr. Marty Goldstein, and lastly, Matt Rowe. So again, be sure to ask your questions in the Ask a Question link and upvote other people's questions if you want to hear the answers to those as well. So I am going to go ahead and invite Dr. Dodds up with me. And there she is. Hi, Dr. Dodds. Thanks for being with us. This is fantastic. We were having some technical difficulties, so I am going to be running the slides for Dr. Dodds. So I'm going to go ahead and bring those up. But while I'm doing that, Dr. Dodds, you're going to cover the microbiome and its role in health and disease. Can you please introduce yourself and share with everyone, why are you on a mission to restore and maintain the highest level of health for our dogs?
Well, as many of you may know, I've been a veterinarian for 56 years. And after starting out as a pure scientist doing non-invasive clinical research studies, I decided, hey, there's more to the body than just hematology and immunology. And I decided to embrace the concept of holism with a W. And when I started looking at holism, I knew we needed to know more about it. And the more and more I got involved in it, as Dr. Marty, my good friend, will know, I decided we need to look at what the gut is doing, what the bowel is doing, and how it maintains health and prevents disease. So that's where we are today.
Perfect. Okay, well, as I am bringing out your slides, here we go. We're going to do a slide share. And since I'm running the slides, Dr. Dodds, you're going to have to tell me when you want to
change the next one.
Go to the next one. Okay, does everybody see that?
I just see both of us.
Let me try that again. Share screen. How about now?
Nope.
Share the screen.
Huh?
Krista, this is Jean's husband. Yeah, we can try to share the screen if you want.
That would be great. Yeah, if you can try that.
Can you see that?
Nothing yet.
Yep, it's not working.
I'm trying on my end as well. Sorry, everybody. Of course, as we did this a half hour before we started, everything was fine. Well, Dr. Dodds, why don't you at least start speaking to your slides? And if we can't get these going, then I can just send your slides to everybody.
Okay, Charles.
Okay, stop.
I can't. You don't have my slides on the screen. I haven't got them memorized, my dear. Here. Okay. As always, with our new digital programs and everything should work perfectly, except when it doesn't.
Exactly.
So I'm very sorry, but I can read the content of the slides, and we will definitely be able to share all of them with you. That's not a problem. We've sent the PowerPoint to Krista already. So what we're going to talk about today in my session is the microbiome. What on earth is it? The microbiome is the genetic material of all the microbes, that's bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and viruses, that live on and inside the human and animal body. Now, the number of genes within these microbes of the microbiome is 200 times higher than the number present in the entire mammalian genome of ourselves or our dogs or cats, for example. 200 times more genes in the microbiome than the whole genome of the body. Now, we depend upon this microbiome to stay alive throughout life. It protects us against germs. It breaks down food to release energy to allow it to be assimilated and digested, and it produces vitamins. However, each individual's microbiome is genetically unique. And so that means unless you are an identical twin or you have a line-bred, inbred litter, for example, of purebred animals, they're going to be different. The microbiome is a major player in all areas of our health and our animals' health. It's present before birth in many species. It impacts maternal offspring health outcomes. In other words, the health outcome of the mother and the offspring. It maintains the role of the gut-brain axis. That's how the bowel works with the brain, with behavior, with cognition, with memory. They work together. And it interacts with the immune system of all the animals that we study. It plays a role in many diseases, including those of metabolism, those that are autoimmune or immune-mediated, motor neuron diseases in the brain, autism, for example, and cancers. Whoops. No, how come it didn't go to the next one? Okay, let me just do this. Hold on. Okay, so the microbiome organisms of the gut are the most diverse and the most abundant. Thus, we need to focus on the health benefits of the microbiome, and we do this by providing probiotics as one example. The benefits of the microbiome are easy for the consumer to observe and to measure in themselves. We can tell when our bowel is happy easily, to see in other people, and also to see in our pets. So what kind of benefits from a healthy microbiome do we see? We see lessening in the severity of eczema and other skin disorders in people and animals. We see improved digestion of proteins, measured, for example, by the absence or reduced amount of intestinal gas. Remember, where animals make gas at night and we hear them rumbling and rumbling and rumbling, we call that borborygmi. And so the absence of gas or the reduction in intestinal gas is one way of determining that protein digestion is improving. Especially in humans, we find it in young athletes that consume protein-rich diets. The same thing is true in the alleviation of constipation in seniors, senior people, senior pets. So it improves the quality of life across all life stages, starting in utero. Now, the very interesting thing, and some of these slides now have been extracted from a beautiful review written by our holistic friend, PJ Broadfoot. The microbiome was only discovered about 15 years ago. Wow. Since then, we've had the Human Microbiome Project, which has examined and tracked 242 healthy people throughout a 2-year period. But that's pretty amazing. But more harmful bacteria have evolved from a combination of environmental pollution, Exposure to chemicals in our environment, as we reduce the ozone layer in the sky, we pollute the earth and we pollute the seas. Herbicides and pesticides sprayed around everywhere. Remember that if you eat organic foods, you will avoid the contamination with glyphosate, which is Roundup, of course. But if you don't, you're going to be exposed to it. There really isn't much chance that you won't be exposed to this chemical. Antibiotics are such, and we have so many antibiotics that are used now that we're promoting resistant strains of bacteria. The world ecosystems have been disrupted, and many strains of resistant microbes have emerged because of that. Of the more than 1,000 commonly prescribed drugs in medicine, a third inhibit the growth of healthy human gut bacteria, and one assumes that that would be similar in the animals that we care for. There's no reason why it wouldn't be different in other mammals. Now, this is very interesting. Infants that are born by vaginal delivery in people have a different gut flora than those that are delivered by cesarean section. After that, then the colostrum milk from the mother populates the infant gut with more bacteria and also anti-infective sugar molecules called glycans, like beta-glycan, for example. Now, further, this was fascinating to me. Vaginal delivery gives infants lactobacillus and prevotella species. But if the infant is delivered by C-section, the microbiome babies receive skin bacteria, not the normal vaginal bacteria. And that would be Staphylococcus, Corynebacterium, and Propionius species. So the C-section baby is not exposed to the normal flora of the healthy woman's vaginal delivery. Vaginal bacteria change in early pregnancy and during normal delivery. So the baby is coated with Lactobacillus johnsoni to prepare the baby for the digestion of breast milk. So the vaginal delivery gives the baby something very important to allow that infant to digest breast milk. C-section babies, by contrast, have an increased risk of numerous disease states, failure to thrive, a poor weight gain during early development, and then through the rest of their lives, they can have problems associated with that. This can be partially restored, as they're doing these days, by seeding at birth the C-section baby with a swab of vaginal bacteria from their healthy mother. So the presence of vaginal bacteria in healthy females to the newborn is really important. The microbiome of neonates continues to expand during the ingestion of breast milk, and the infant begins then to develop immune tolerance, which is a very important evolutionary development to allow the body to accept foreign proteins that they see all the time with food or from the environment. The gut microbiome, microbiota, influence the control of the body's hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. So it affects the hypothalamus, the pituitary, the adrenal glands, and all the endocrine glands associated with that control. So in fact, it's pointing out to us how important it is for us to be able to have companion animals and other animals have breast milk from the mother whenever possible, as opposed to a milk replacer. And what about the fact that foods speak to cells? Food ingredients speak to the body at the cellular level. Many foods we consider healthy, however, are really sending unhealthy messages to the genes in the genome because they may not be healthy for the body. So we need to pre-select foods that promote rather than suppress optimal genetic expression and prevent dysbiosis. Dysbiosis being an imbalance of what we're talking about. So we need to choose clean, pure, organic foods to avoid health problems related to pesticides, to, depending on your persuasion, avoid genetically modified organisms, antibiotics and other man-made hazards that infiltrate our food system all the time. And scientists are now just beginning to understand how diet affects the deepest level of our cells. And so understanding the genome is critical to treating, to managing and preventing illness, as virtually every disease has a genetic basis. And so how do we prevent the expression of abnormal genes as opposed to supporting and promoting enhancement of beneficial genes? And we can do that a lot with food and the environment. So cellular optimal health, even with chronic health conditions, cells have a remarkable ability to repair, regenerate, and renew, thank God. So even though we can have chronic health, we have a chance to heal that. And I'm sure our other two speakers today will address that topic. Creating optimal health at the cellular level involves key nutritional steps. Feeding a diet rich in functional foods that tells the epigenome to initiate healthy gene expression, the epigenome being all those things above the genes themselves that control and regulate gene expression. Genes are only 2 to 3% of the genome, and the rest of it is all the regulatory aspects of the epigenome. Reducing or removing foods that send harmful messages to the epigenome, causing unhealthy gene expression. And so the ideal diet, as you'll learn about later this program, contains 3 keys: a variety, it should be nutrient dense, and the food should be whole whenever possible. So here's a picture, for example, of a gorgeous collection of vegetables and fruit. Yummy. And look at the beautiful colors. Look at the anthocyanins, the colors of all the fruits and vegetables here that are so beneficial to us. And here we have the oils, the benefit of olive oil. We have the fish oils. We have nuts and we have eggs and we have a variety of things depending on whether you eat meat and fish, whether you are a vegetarian or whether you're a vegan. So obviously some of those things would not be eaten by the vegans. So how do we restore the microbiome to improve health and well-being? Dysbiosis is the disruption of the gut's microbial ecosystem. Let's look at that again. Dys being dysfunctional, abnormal. Dysbiosis is the disruption of the gut microbial ecosystem. Examples of the stressors that cause microbial change include prolonged exposure to antibiotics, diet high in additives and low in fiber, the effect of global warming and environmental pollution worldwide. Diseases are increasingly linked in people and pets are diabetes, neurodegenerative diseases like the gut-brain axis issue, endocrine and autoimmune disorders, dysbiosis of the skin, and of course, cancers. In colorectal cancers, for example, damaging bacteria are Bacteroides fragilis and the E. coli DNA-damaging metabolite colibactin. 20% of these tumors had colibactin mutations that was sustained mostly during childhood. So colibactin mutations of the E. coli that are involved in infant exposure and childhood are still present later on in life. So let's look at what happens here. Here you show colorectal cancer, colibactin invasion. Here's bacterial invasion. Here, these are the loops of the bowel. Here's inflammation that it causes here. This is getting darker red as inflammation occurs. And then you get a polyp that forms. This is the inflammation. Here's the polyp. This is now red and irritated. And then you get, oops, there's a C missing there. Sorry, guys, should be C for cancer. I guess I didn't want to recognize that, so I took out the C. Here's the polyp, and this is colorectal cancer. You know, every slideshow you produce can look beautiful, but there's always a typo, which means that we're just human. So how else do we restore the microbiome to improve health and well-being? You can use fecal microbiota transplantation, also called microbiome restorative therapy. And so that's basically a fecal transplant. Examples of companies that offer this therapy, and there are only some examples here, include the Open Biome program for people, the Animal Biome program for pets, and the one that Dr. Margaret Roman, our holistic colleague in Massachusetts, offers. Microbiota therapy introduces a diverse population of natural gut bacteria, and they act via a regulatory pathway of T cells, thymus-dependent cells, that act to suppress food allergy or food intolerance. Novel antibodies against the B. fragilis and E. coli are being tested in rodent models now to prevent the adherence of the E. coli to the colon cells. So like I showed you in those diagrammatic slides, we can block the adherence of this E. coli colibactin to the cells of the colon. And this is a brand new article that just came out in Genetic Engineering News as a summary in July of this year. So we can also do it with N-acetylglucosamine, which is NAG, a precursor of epithelial glycosaminoglycan. And this helps symptoms of inflammatory bowel disease, especially that of abdominal pain. We can use licorice root, which should be deglycerinated, in other words, without that. Flavonoid-rich extract for gut ulcers. It's an antioxidant and it's anti-inflammatory, and we definitely use these in veterinary medicine as well. We can use aloe, which contains aloine, and aloine is used orally for ulcer colitis and digestion. We can use Saccharomyces boulardii to prevent and treat diarrhea. We can use L-glutamine, which protects the amino acid, which protects the mucosal lining. We use prebiotics a lot, like spirulina from blue-green algae, or even unprocessed whole foods. And we use probiotics, which have mixed strains of lactobacillus and bifidobacteria. Foods like yogurt, kefir, lassi, the drink, or natto, the Japanese product from soybeans. So we do all of these things. And so one of the things that we do at Hemopet now is we have a program called Cell Bio, which is biomarkers for pet health. The website is listed below. And what we're doing with that is we're introducing a unique breakthrough test for isoprostane, the lipid activator in pet saliva. It's used in saliva just like our Nutriscan food intolerance testing. And I'm just summarizing this for a major publication actually last night, and we've done 245 cases now, of which 100 were negative and 145 were positive. Now, what does it do? It determines the preclinical risk before your animal actually gets sick for inflammation, for infections, for exposure to passive cigarette smoke. So if anybody in the household is smoking, the people in the household and the animals are exposed to the increasing cellular oxidative stress caused by the cigarette. Obesity causes increased cellular oxidative stress, and so do certain cancers. So elevated levels are addressed with diet and supplement changes to promote antioxidant effects. Now, one of the other interesting things, which is not on this slide yet, that we're just about to be introducing, is this kind of testing can be used as a preclinical diagnosis of periodontal disease in people and pets. Think how many of our companion animal pets that we share our lives with have early dental disease, and this dental disease causes all kinds of changes in cellular oxidative stress. And so by determining an elevation of the predental enzymes associated with this system, and we're going to be introducing a new test for that this fall, you can then have more dental care done by veterinary dentists, by veterinary oral hygienists, to make sure that the teeth and the gums of your pet are kept as healthy as possible to keep their microbiome healthy and promoting just wellness and well-being. There are many, many references that I've included in this presentation, which when you get it, you can have, and you're welcome, of course, to look at them. It goes on and on and on, and all of this is, current. Here's one from 2009, here's one from 2014, 2016, 2019, etc. So what we need to do is keep our animals healthy. And I finished my presentation with this slide. If I had my life to live over, this is a man carrying his beloved pet over his shoulder. The pet is saying, the person is saying, and the pet are saying, I would have found you sooner so that I could love you for longer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Dodds. That was awesome. Okay, everybody, we are opening it up for questions. So at the bottom of your screen, if you can just click the Ask a Question link and put your question in there, that would be fabulous. And again, I am so sorry. I have used this platform many times. We've done lots of webinars and masterclasses, and SlideShare has not been a problem. So our apologies for that. Does anybody have any questions for Dr. Dodds? And if you don't have any now, we're going to bring her up, of course, at the end as well, that you can ask questions then. So I don't see any questions coming in yet. So Dr. Dodds, I am going to take you off of the stage, and then we are going to invite Dr. Marty Goldstein up to do his presentation. And then we'll have you back. If you can just hang tight and listen to the rest of the two presentations, we'll have you back on to answer some questions.
Sure.
All right. Okay, so now we are going to have Dr. Marty. Let me bring him up. Okay. So again, our next guest is Dr. Marty Goldstein, and Dr. Marty is going to be covering what dogs should really eat for optimum health and longevity. So Dr. Marty, for over 40 years, he's been one of the world's leading veterinarians. So once he gets on, I'm going to have him introduce himself. Okay, he should be coming on shortly. Hello, Dr. Marty. Dr. Marty, I did an invite for you. Should see that on your screen. So sorry, everybody. Ugh. Okay, we're having issues with Dr. Marty. So let me go ahead and jump to Matt, and then I will try to figure out what is going on with Dr. Marty not being able to come on stage. So Matt, are you seeing the invite? And
I am here.
We have Matt. Sorry about all this, Matt.
Oh,
my
no,
now you got me both.
Oh, now we got Dr.
No,
Okay.
let's go to Dr. Marty. Kick me out.
Okay.
He's
It
better
wouldn't
looking than I
wouldn't
am.
allow me to accept and join or talk to you until you invited Matt on.
Well, here you are. So Dr. Marty, I am so glad you're here. Thank you for bearing with us with these technical issues.
And my podcast shirt.
Look at that shirt, everybody.
Yeah, I wear this with all my podcasts. And my tan. All right, I'm going to try to get my slideshow up.
Okay. And while you're doing that, can you introduce yourself and maybe share why are you so passionate about your integrative approach to canine health?
This started way back when I graduated Cornell vet school in the 70s, and I was undergraduate at Cornell in the late 60s. And I was genetically losing my own health, and I was searching for answers out of fear and really vanity for health that my medical profession didn't offer me. And when I stumbled upon some Oriental philosophy and Oriental nutrition, and my chronic degenerative genetically based diseases started to go away, it was a no-brainer to say, I wonder if this works in our own pets. And lo and behold, it did. So I went on a mission way back in the 70s that our profession needs to know about health that's not really taught in vet school. It's a disease, 3 Ds, diagnose, disease, and drug it. And that's what I learned. Nutrition when I was at Cornell Vet School was a 3-week course on arithmetics. Had nothing to do with quality of food. It was just balancing protein and carbohydrates and fats. And a light went off that, hey, something doesn't make sense about this entire thing about healthcare. Our goal is not to treat disease as veterinarians, it's to maintain health in our pets. And it was missing.
Absolutely. Yep.
So there.
Okay. Are you able to, to bring your slides up?
All right. I'm not, it says close video, change camera, screen share.
Yes.
I'm hitting that. It's going around in circles.
Okay, if you put the cursor over yourself and at the top you'll see screen share,
Yeah.
and then show your entire desktop, click on that and then click share.
Yeah, the screen share is just going around in circles. My PowerPoint is up behind me.
Okay.
But screen share is just, it's a circle that has a green thing that's going around and around and around and around.
And you work so hard on these, and I am trying to do the same thing because I have your slides, and it's not letting me share either.
Oh boy, and my slides are so great.
I know they are.
Copy, print, impact, inspect.
Thanks everybody for your notes on the bottom that you're feeling our pain. Really appreciate that. Well, Dr. Marty,
And you can't bring it up either, right?
I'm trying to do the same exact thing.
Yeah, screen share is there. I see my PowerPoint. It's right behind us.
Well, then what if you click on that behind, don't worry about this.
Yeah, and when I click on it, it comes in front of me and you.
And we can't see it.
And I go to screen share and it's just going around and around in circles.
Well, then can we do the same thing that we did with Dr. Dodds and just speak to the slides and get the points across?
It just says now Crowdcast is sharing your screen. Stop sharing? I don't want to do that.
Yeah, obviously there is no shared.
And you just disappeared.
Why don't you go ahead and do your presentation if you don't mind?
Okay, I'm going to bring it up. All right, here's my presentation. What dogs should eat for optimal health and longevity by me. All right. Now, you know, I'm okay with science. And I think we really need science, especially to bring forth what we're trying to bring forth in, you know, what Dr. Dodds, what Matt's trying to bring forth, and what all the integrative veterinarians are trying to bring forth. But my definition of science in the field of medicine is man's way of trying to figure out what nature already accomplished and set forth. So as egotistical as we become as a technological profession, it's just nature already figured it out. And I really started to have a problem as I was learning, and I was, you know, initially number 2 in my class at Cornell, about all this science in the field of medicine. So over the years, as I started to regain my own health, I became very fond of 2 great associates that I had. And you have them too. Those associates are called Common Sense and Mother Nature. And what I've always said once I woke up to the truth, that if the pet food industry was created by scientists that studied the way dogs and even cats, carnivores, ate in nature, we would have never created pet food to become what it has become, a mostly cereal-based industry. So I was a little disenfranchised by the science I was learning in vet school and then subsidized by the big pet food companies afterwards. So my next slide says, who created pet food? And I wrote a book 23 years ago called The Nature of Animal Healing, which is fortunately still in the bestseller list. And I just finished my second book, finally, called The Spirit of Animal Healing. And I just went through the whole history of the pet food industry. So I put together a slide, a real brief summary of the pet food industry. Way back, centuries ago, there was mostly a guy called a Nacreman. And what the Nacreman did was he was hired by the town or the area to go around and pick up dead carcasses and clean them off the roads and off the farms. And that made it back into feeding our domesticated, mostly dogs. 1860, James Spratt, he created the meat fibrin dog cake, which was mostly remnants of baked goods around the house with a little leftovers of whatever they didn't eat meat-wise. 1908, the Bennett Biscuit Company created the Maltoid dry dog biscuit that claimed it was everything you need for your dog health. And in 1911, you know what that became? Milk-Bone, still available now. We had kind of a step up in 1922 all the way to 1941, where the Kennel Ration Company was putting horse meat into cans. And that wasn't bad because it was meat. It wasn't baked and processed. But what happened? World War II came along. So they needed to start rationing metal and the meat to feed the soldiers. So that led to the invent of dry dog food with a great shelf life that didn't require cans. And it didn't require what dogs needed to eat, which is a thing called meat. What does the soap industry have to do with the pet food industry that started in the 1950s? What a great question. In the 1950s, before the 1950s, we made soap by enzymatic action of fat and lard. That was soap. What did they invent? Phosphines, chemical plant oil derivatives that we started to make our detergents. So lo and behold, we had all of this amazing tons and tons and tons of fat. What were we going to do with it? Because it was so flavorful, we dumped it into the pet food industry. But fat goes rancid rapidly. Just smell your garbage pan after 2 days of some fat in there. What that led to is the invention, the creation of the preservative, BHA, BHT, to preserve mostly the fats and the oils from going rancid. And the biggie was a great preservative called ethoxyquin, which was a rubber stabilizer by Monsanto. And it really did a great job in preserving the fat in pet food, but it wiped out livers in dogs. It was such a shame. And then in 1957, the biggest selling food of all time, Purina Dog Chow, was created. So my next slide looks at Purina Dog Chow, and it puts up the great checkerboard square, Ralston Purina. 1897, the Danforth Corporation started to make cereals. 1901, they changed their name to Ralston Purina. And I actually have the original advertisement from 1902 showing Ralston Purina cereals. Ralston was famous for making wheat checks, rice checks, and corn checks. They made the #1 selling food of all time. So what did they make it out of? 50 to 64% cereal and cereal byproducts. So then I put up a great picture of, I had my own show that Martha Stewart gave me for 6 years called Ask Martha's Vet. Martha had me on her TV show a whole bunch of times. And it was sponsored by Purina's Benefil. And you look at the bag of Benefil, and it is beautiful. It's corn and meats and peas and carrots floating from the heavens down. But when you look at the ingredient list, and she allowed me to put the ingredient list on her TV show, not with the name of the food. And the first ingredient, ground yellow corn, chicken byproduct meal. You don't want to know what that is. It's not meat. The next ingredient, corn gluten meal. Then whole wheat flour. Then rice flour. Then soy flour. Then sugar and sorbitol. Do dogs eat at bakeries in the wild? I mean, give me a break. The producers of the Martha Show actually allowed me to turn to Martha and say, Martha, have you ever seen a dog stalk an ear of corn? And that got more response from viewers than any show 3 to 4 months before that. I love it. So then I have a slide on the new ingredient list for Benefil. Also, very pretty bag with all these whole foods floating down from the heavens. And the first ingredient now is chicken. So we made a step up. Next ingredient, whole grain, corn. Next ingredient, barley. Next ingredient, whole grain wheat. Next ingredient, soybean meal. Then corn gluten meal. Then oatmeal. So this is a cereal-based food that is getting you to believe that the number one ingredient is chicken. And it's just a shame, because we do know that cereal and grain is a lot cheaper than chicken and meat. Then I put up some formulas of Science Diet, one of the biggest selling foods maybe the biggest selling food in veterinary medicine. And then again, the ingredient list is the same. Whole grain corn, whole grain wheat, chicken byproduct meal, soybean meal. So it's all the same stuff. A newer ingredient list for Science Diet, chicken meal. Then it goes into cracked pearl barley, pea fiber, whole grain wheat, whole grain corn, corn gluten meal. So my next picture is actually photographs of the skeleton of a dog's upper jaw and lower jaw, showing all their teeth and labeling them. And then what I usually say at this point is, show me one tooth that's flat in a dog's mouth for chewing and grinding grain or cereal. It's just a bunch of bull. That's all I got to say. So how did this happen if we're so scientifically based? My next slide is from a very dear colleague of both Dr. Jean and mine, Dr. Ron Schultz, in his major presentation on the duration of vaccination immunity. The first law of statistics: if the statistics don't support your viewpoint, you obviously need more statistics. Then, the second law of statistics: given enough statistics, you can prove anything. I have scientific papers from the Journal of the American Veterinary Medical Association stating and scientifically proven that corn is the most usable and digestible protein for a dog. You know, once again, my two associates, common sense and Mother Nature, that does not fly with me. There's no way that nature would make a dog or a cat a corn eater. So, next slide. I entitled March 2007, The Day the Music Died. And that day was the pet food recall. And it's just one of the many headlines. Melamine spiking in food widespread for years. And it was a disaster how this protein enhancing substance from China made so many millions of batches of pet food, and it was blowing out the dogs' and cats' kidneys. The only two good things about this entire fiasco was, number one, phones in veterinary clinics during this time in 2007 were ringing off the wall. I had a national practice where we were seeing patients in our waiting room for at least 25 states of the United States every single month. And you know what? You know how many calls we got? We braced ourselves for the onslaught of calls. You know how many calls we got? 3 during this whole episode. And one of them wasn't even a call from one of our clients, is one of the people that lived in the apartment complex behind our clinic stopped in to find out. That's because we properly educated our clientele on the devastation of feeding commercialized food. The other good thing about this is Oprah invited me on her show to spread the word about what animals should eat because of the pet food recall. And she even prepared her own food right on the show and actually said, let them eat meat. So that was the only 2 good things about it. Okay, coming to the end. So then I go through, what should I feed my dog for best health? A question everyone wants to know. No 2 snowflakes are the same. So obviously no 2 dogs are the same. So using a blanket recommendation for one dog to feed all dogs, I don't think is cool. So on my website, I actually list 10 different levels of how to feed our companion animals. And the secret word here is AIM, A-I-M. You don't want to feed them the same thing every single day, day in and day out, even if it is healthy. And, the function of life is really to enjoy it, not to live in a glass bubble so you're going to live long. So I lay down here the 10 different levels, and you'll see it when you finally do get this, my PowerPoint presentation. And obviously the first level is hunted raw prey. Number 2, fresh raw meats, bones, organ meats, what they would have eaten in wild, with small amount of fruits and vegetables. And then it has enzymes from the intestinal contents from the pancreas that they're eating in their prey. Next one is home-cooked fresh meats with fresh vegetables. Add some organ meat in there. The 4th is ultra premium commercial canned foods. It takes a lot more processing to put something into a bag and made it shelf stable than to put it into a can. You open up a can, you can actually see chunks of meat and vegetables. You don't see that in dry food. And then it goes through the lower levels of the different kind of dry foods. And as I said, I got into all this work just to get myself healthy. It took about 13 years. Now, when I'm in my almost mid-70s, I am very healthy, and I'm really enjoying life. So I'll go out on a Friday or Saturday night and just eat to my heart's content, have a couple of drinks. I know it wasn't ideal for my health, but because I'm healthy, I will know how to get back. So I will aim for that. My dogs love pizza. Pizza is not an ideal food for dogs. But if we have a pizza, we'll throw part of a slice to each of our dogs. You know why? They love it. So if animals are healthy, I don't mind straying, but know what the ideal is and go into that direction. And you'll be getting those points when you get this PowerPoint sent to you. Next slide. Let's talk about freeze-dried, because there's a big buzz on freeze-dried food. And my product line, that there is going to be a contest with, that you're going to get some of the food that I helped create with some amazing, I hate to use the word scientists in this field. And the reason I went to freeze-dried is because, number 1, it retains all vital nutrient essentials. It eliminates the potential of pathogen contamination. I'm not a big buff on being afraid of pathogens. The Merck Manual states that 37% of all normal dogs have salmonella as a normal inhabitant in their intestine. E. coli is, E. coli, how would you like $1 for every E. coli in your dog's intestine, even your healthy dog? So I'm not worried about pathogens, but if your food is found to have one of these pathogens, it's taken off the market. Freeze-dried food has great shelf life. And for me, one of the biggies, because my goal after being a clinician in practice, getting to 8 to 12 animals a day, was to affect the life of millions. Shipping costs is tremendously lowered when it comes to freeze-dried food. So that's why I helped create a line of freeze-dried food. Almost done. Cardiomyopathy, grain-free food, the big national scare that hit from FDA reports. And I want to just give you my intake on that. First of all, there is nothing in grains that supports carnivore heart health. Period. Nature didn't intend it that way, that dogs have to eat rice or corn to have a healthy heart. Many of the grain-free diets just have very poor quality meat protein sources. So they're not getting, especially the L-carnitine and especially the taurine, because they're getting crap as far as quality. Substitutes for grains like peas, lentils, potatoes, there's substances in there, some scientists call it lectins, that block the absorption and utilization of taurine across the intestinal wall. So it's not that the grain-free is bad, but what they're using to substitute for the grain is blocking the taurine absorption. There is theories that have been proven scientifically that some of these grain substitutes are contaminated with mycotoxin or aflatoxin, which actually has been shown scientifically to harm health and the musculature and the cells of the heart. Dr. Jean mentioned it before. These foods that are used to substitute for grains and the grains are loaded with GMOs and glyphosate. And you look online and you can see that glyphosate, there are studies that show glyphosate actually hurt the heart muscle. And do you know that the Institute of Responsible Scientists and people that's studying glyphosate and all this have shown that the level of glyphosate in dogs' urine is 30 to 40 times greater than that in human urine. And now so many humans are winning billions of dollars because they have non-Hodgkin's lymphoma from glyphosate. So don't feel like you need to add grains out of fear. If you're feeding your dog and even your cat a really good meat diet that's grain-free, don't think you have to start adding rice and corn to support their heart health. I think it's a bunch of bull. I think we're just about there. The other thing, and this is going to introduce Matt, our next speaker, is that it's not, to me, it's, my specialty over the 47 years has been nutraceuticals and nutritional supplements. And the way I always put this in an analogy is that if your car wasn't running well and you wanted to run really good, you wouldn't go around and search for the most high quality gasoline. It ain't going to work until you bring it to a mechanic to tune up the engine. So to me, the definition of a supplement is a concentrated food that compensates for the deficiencies that we've created over the generations and the centuries now in the food chain. So we need supplements, even if your dog or a cat are eating really good foods, to tune up the engine, to support pancreas function to make enzymes, to support liver function to metabolize the food. And I'm going to not go any more on that because I'm going to pass that over to Matt. And I'm done.
Thank you, Dr. Marty. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Okay. One quick thing I did put in the comments, Dr. Jean Dodd's contact information with HemoPet. So if anybody would like to reach out to her, the URL is there. We've had people waiting a long time, Dr. Marty. Why don't we do a giveaway?
Yeah.
And, you guys, this is so exciting. This is a Dr. Marty prize pack.
Yeah.
And this is so cool. You get one Nature's Blend. This is Dr. Marty's premium freeze-dried raw dog food. Pro Power Plus, which is a digestive supplement. Tilly's Treasures, which is raw beef liver dog treats. You're going to get Free and Active, which is a dog joint supplement. Shine and Luster, which is the adult dog skin and coat supplement. And Canine Renew, which is a supplement for longevity.
Well, maybe
All
I go
of
in.
that. That's amazing.
Maybe
All
I can
right,
answer my own question.
Dr. Marty, why don't you ask a question? Let's see if everybody was paying attention to your presentation. Why don't you ask a question? And the first person to comment in the Say Something Nice will win one of these prize packs.
Okay, let's make it easy. We'll make it very recent. We'll make it apropos to my food. Give me 2 advantages of freeze-dried dog food. Dun, dun,
All
dun, dun.
right. Drum roll, please. 2 advantages of freeze-dried
Freeze-dried dog food.
Come on, guys. Come on.
Oh, sleep at the wheel.
All right. We have cheap shipping and no nutrient loss.
That's it.
Oh, okay. That is Ashley. So Ashley is our first winner there. So Ashley, I will get with you afterwards to get your shipping information. Congratulations. We have 2 more of those to give away.
Wow.
Dr. Marty, we've got some questions rolling in. So what supplements would you suggest for a 16-year-old Pomeranian?
Well, in one of my slides, I actually put up there that, I'm getting 50 to 100 requests a day on my website. Please help me advise on my dog. And it's just it's not appropriate to advise, especially by internet, because I don't know each dog. When we see a dog or a cat, we take blood samples, we evaluate them, and you could have 2 16-year-old dogs of the same weight being on totally different supplements. So one of the things that I always recommend is get yourself hooked up with an integratively functioning veterinarian, and the website is ahvma.org, American Holistic Veterinary Medical Association. You'll see it when you do get my slideshow. And work with your integrative veterinarian. But in general, I love probiotics and prebiotics. Like Dr. Jean said, the microbiome it's where it's at. I do like digestive enzymes, especially if you're not feeding a raw diet. And when dogs get over 5 or 7 years of age, depending on their size and breed, I like adding antioxidants because the free radicals that build up cause inflammatory reactions and degeneration. So these antioxidants gobble those free radicals up. And obviously some kind of joint support. So, the winner of my first package is going to get Free and Active and the Pro Power Plus, which is probiotics, prebiotics, digestive enzymes. And we found an actual medicinal mushroom, the champignon mushroom, that was tested in Japan in old age homes. And it showed that it knocked down the poisons, odors, amines, and nitrates in bedpans in people, 66 to 80%. So we added it in to this thing, and dogs have been responding dramatically, especially with odors in their stool. So that would be it. And also a good omega-3 based, like a fish oil or krill oil. So that would be my answer.
Okay, and we have to get Matt up here. So a couple more questions, and then I'll save the rest of the questions for all of you guys. Would it hurt to add a drop of quality licorice root oil to my dog's food?
Probably not. Licorice is known to support the adrenal. The adrenal gland takes care of stress and inflammation. And let me tell you, living in the United States is inflammatory and stressful. Period. I don't care if you have 2 legs, 4 legs, or 8 legs. So the answer is it ain't going to hurt.
Okay. Dr. Marty, what was the type of mushroom that you just described
Champignon, like champion.
before you were mentioning a mushroom?
Yeah, champignon. CHAMPI. I think it's PIGNON. Something like that.
Okay. I'll put that in the comments.
Yeah.
Why don't we do another giveaway? Because those are always fun.
Why not?
Yeah. All right. Another question from Dr. Marty. Let's see if you guys were paying attention.
All right. In the derivation of the pet food industry, what other industry had a huge influence on the pet food industry, especially inviting the additives of preservatives?
Soap.
Yeah!
Soap. It looks like Leslie guessed soap.
All right,
first.
Leslie.
Go,
Good listening,
Leslie.
Les.
All right. You get a Dr. Marty
bar of
prize
soap.
pack.
You get a bar of soap.
Woohoo! All right. Okay. Let's go to one more question really quick. We have to get Matt on here. Let's see. What's a good one here? How can we introduce a new food without upsetting the pup's tummy and gut health?
Great question. I usually recommend, in almost all cases, a 10-day program where you the first 3 days you take 25% new and 75% old. If everything is cool after 3 days, you go to 50-50 for 3 days. If everything is cool after the next 3 days, you go to 75% new, 25% old, and on day 10, if everything is good, no diarrhea or vomiting or anything like that, you're at 100% new food. Great question. Give her a prize.
Woohoo! All right. Okay, if you did not win, and we have one more of Dr. Marty's prize pack, we'll save that for in a little bit here. If you didn't win one of those, you can still save 25% by going to drmartypets.com and entering the promo code PETS25. So I am going to paste that in the comments right now so that if you didn't win, and I highly recommend all of Dr. Marty's products, check that out and get 25% off. Dr. Marty, thank you. We are going to have you back on here in a little bit. Let's get Matt on to do his presentation. I'm going to knock you off stage and invite Matt up. All right, Matt is going to be talking about nutrients and why they are essential for health. Matt, please introduce yourself and tell us why you're on this journey of educating us pet parents about using food as medicine to improve our dogs' lives and to reverse disease. Ready, go.
Wonderful. Thank you, Krista, for having me here. Dr. Dodds, Dr. Marty, incredible information, and you guys are spot on. It's like you're doctors or something. And so all joking aside, so why I got involved in this is we've been in the pet industry for quite a while. And when we came into the pet industry, we heard a terrible stat that 50% of dogs over the age of 10 are going to die of cancer. Something's not right with that. And when we started to talk to our vet on staff, Dr. Lori Koger, and when we started to talk with her at an event, she started to point to the foods that our dogs are eating. Well, I was experiencing my own medical issues at that time and essentially took a look at the food that I was eating. And so what I didn't know was I doing it right? And so there had to be a way for us to figure it out. And we did at Parsley Pet. Now, I cannot take credit for the tests that we administer. That's Dr. Dr. Watts out of Trace Elements in Texas, when he, for the last 30 years, has been studying nutrient balances within individuals and within pets, he has the greatest baseline data when it comes to pets. Now, the issue that he was having is how do we actually interpret this for the actual pet parents so they can actually take action and change a diet if they need to. So I am going to attempt, like everyone else on this, is to share my...
Please work.
Please share. Oh, I'm getting the button. Okay, so if it comes on, great. If it doesn't, great. I can read just like these guys. I can read my slides to you.
Okay, you are screen share, but we are seeing this. So if you can bring your slides on your desktop.
Yep, let me do that right now.
This is very promising.
Can you guys see that?
Yes.
All right.
Well, we did. Okay, there it is. Oh, beautiful.
Cool. So what we talk about is then we want to set up essential nutrition for your healthy dog so you don't have to go through the moments. Dr. Marty said it best. Your dog should be eating meat. Your dog's mouth works like this, not like this, like ours do. And so what happens is, in that case, is your dog was actually designed genetically to eat meats, which means they were designed to catch an animal and eat that animal. And when I was going through all my certifications and nutrition training and raw feeding training, one of my mentors said, Matt, it's very simple. To feed raw, think of your pet 100 years ago. Your pet is a scavenger. It has a pH balance within its stomach at 1.8, which means it's an extremely acidic environment. That's why your dog can eat goose poop and not throw up right away. And so this is what happens is your dog catches a rabbit in the field and it eats the rabbit. But what's in a rabbit? Fur, bone, organ, muscle meat, brain, like all of the rabbit that goes into it. And what they're getting out of eating that entire rabbit are minerals, because minerals can only be obtained by what we eat. So let's talk about that real quick. So let's take a step into what is the nutritional blueprint, because that's what we do. We offer the nutritional blueprint for individuals that want to know more. And what our test determines is the nutrients inside the pet's body and what it's lacking and what it has in excess in. Yes, nutrients are kind of like Goldilocks. The porridge has to be just right in that middle. If you have too much calcium, it's going to have issues. If you have too little of calcium, you're going to have bone breakage. So this is what all happens with it. You have to somewhat determine what is the right meal for my dog. Always think of the rabbit, though. So what we test with the nutritional blueprint is we want to test 48 different nutrients, nutritional elements, trace ionic minerals, and also heavy metals within the body, because these are all things that affect not just our health, but also our pet's health. So how we do this is through hair testing. HTMA, hair tissue mineral analysis. And why do I use hair? Hair is actually formed from clusters of matrix cells in your body. As the hair follicle grows and it reaches the surface of the skin, it hardens and traps that data. So there's millions of independent journals that are out there that have studied hair tissue and mineral analysis. And it's actually been considered by the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, as the only way to test for heavy metal exposure. Because now I get to see what's going on inside your dog at an intracellular level. That means I get to see what's in their cells, not just what minerals are being transported throughout their body that you see in a blood test. So because of this, I get to see their internal metabolic environment, blood, lymph nodes, extracellular fluids. As the hair continues to grow and reaches the surface of the skin, it locks this data. But what I also love about it is it takes a look at a length of time. So I get to see the diet inside your dog over a 30 to 45 day period, the time it takes to grow the hair. So What kind of minerals can I test? These are only 24 of them. And ones that we look at are ones that are very important. Now I'm going to flip over to the heavy metals on the right. Arsenic. When we feed our pets rice, that is the highest level of arsenic in the industry. Arsenic has been widely known, and there are reports coming out now where arsenic is actually seen to cause some health conditions within inside human beings because of the high levels of arsenic and how the actual rice is grown. Another one is mercury. Think of vaccines. A way to stabilize vaccine is through mercury. So when we test dogs that have gone through multiple rounds of vaccines, we see high levels of mercury. The last one I'm going to talk about is aluminum. We tested a dog where he was growing up next to a coal mine. Now, they didn't live in the coal mine. They lived like 2 miles away from it, but the trucks kept going by and allowing dust to get into the air. This dog's levels of aluminum were at dangerous levels, and the dog was showing seizures as a result of it. So once we could chelate out, meaning remove aluminum out of the dog's system, the seizures went away. So you're taking a look at all of these things that affect our dog's health, and minerals are a key part, which I believe Dr. Marty and Dr. Dodds both talked about through it all. So what we discovered with our testing and all the animals that we have tested is minerals are essential for health. Without them, we will not live. They cannot be made by the body. It's not like vitamin D where I can walk outside in the sun and get the vitamin D I need. So what it is actually a mineral. Like if I want calcium, if I want iron, if I want magnesium, that's something I need to ingest with the food that I eat. And it's obtained through the food and environment. So let's take a step real quick over to this. What are the 4 areas that affect your dog's health? The first one is diet. Second is medication. Third is pollution. And 4 is nutritional supplements. And I'm going to explain nutritional supplements because I know I have Dr. Marty on, and he makes an incredible supplement because he approaches it by using food, not synthetic based. So the first one's diet. Diet, high intake of refined processed food, aka kibble. Dr. Dodds went through the history. Dr. Marty went through the history of kibble, and he's right. The way that they make it, the way that they process it, they made it to make profit. They didn't make it to keep our pets healthy, and our pets cannot digest that. Also, we see nutrient quality degradation. Remember the rabbit. When your dog ate it, he didn't run out into the yard, brew up a fire, put the rabbit on a spigot and start, roasting it on the spigot and waited for it. No, he ate the rabbit because your dog is hungry, and it can eat raw food like that. So, and also incorrectly formulated or poorly executed fresh food diets. When we test an animal, when we test a dog, we take an intake form, and we want to know what that dog's been eating. And recently we just got an intake form in from a test we were conducting, and the owner said that I'm feeding my dog chicken and rice. That was it. So when you look at a poorly executed diet, everybody on here, what did she miss with chicken and rice? Now, granted, she's adding arsenic to the diet, and she just has a meat product, chicken, that was cooked, which cooking your food can actually bring down the actual mineral levels and the nutrient density of that food by cooking it. And so what happens is she's missing she's missing organ and bone. Why I said iron is that's where you get iron, is by using organ. So the second one is medications. I believe in our Western society today, we over-medicate. We medicate like crazy because we are solving the symptom and not getting to the root cause of the problem, of why it's happening. Great story I have about this is we tested a woman's dog in Seattle, and incredible, smart, raw feeder, knew everything. She was rescuing dogs, and she had one dog that had terrible itching issues, and it was actually causing lesions on the dog because the dog wouldn't stop itching it. Couldn't figure it out, tried everything that she could. We tested her dog, and we found out that the dog's boron levels were way above the dangerous level of boron you should have in your body. As you know, Dr. Kosher and I, we're talking about it, we're trying to figure it out. And all of a sudden, Dr. Kosher goes, what does she wash her bowls in? And we asked the pet owner. And what we found out is that she was washing the bowls in Dawn dish soap. There's nothing wrong with Dawn dish soap, but it has the highest level of borax in the industry. So because she was doing everything and rinsing him and doing everything she could, we only asked her, I said, for the next 2 weeks, just stop washing your bowls with Dawn dish soap. Rinse them out, wipe them out real well, throw them in the dishwasher, make sure that you've got all the contaminants out of it, and see if your dog gets better. And lo and behold, 2 weeks later, the dog stopped itching. And when we retested, the boron levels had come down. And so this is just some of that stuff that comes into it where we don't know in regards to some of the levels and what we have. And so what the vet went, and I love our vets, but what they were giving is they were giving more medication to treat the symptom, and instead of addressing the root cause of why it was all happening. And when your dog is itching, I 100% agree to their decision and what they did, because you're trying to appease your dog who has no idea why it's itching. So our heart goes out to them when they do that. So the third is pollution. Dr. Marty hit it right on the head. You live in the United States. You are surrounded by pollution in the air, in the soil, on our walls, on our carpets. Everywhere around us is pollution. And that is a big reason why our pets are affected with their health as well. Now, supplements. Dr. Marty, your supplements are fantastic. But what I see we give so many supplements to our pets because we have these things. We have opposable thumbs, and so we can open the package and we put it in. When we eat too much zinc, what happens to us? Our stomachs get upset, and we almost get lightheaded, almost like dizzy, flu-like symptoms when we have too much zinc and not enough food in our system. What happens is we give our supplements to our dogs, and we keep giving supplements to our dogs, and they can't tell us, whoa, Matt, I'm good. You got me. You're hitting my level. So we hit a level where your dog is getting better. You're buying Dr. Marty supplements and it's working and it's going great. And then we humanize our pets and we're like, oh, let me just give them a little bit more. Let me just give them a little bit more here. Oh, I've got this supplement. You buy that one off the shelf and then that one. And then we begin to put our dogs out of balance. And so really with everything that they have, we are not allowing them. So supplements, the right ones, are wonderful to give to your pet. Too many of them, I believe, causes issues. So let's take a little quick journey down the road of the 4 essential nutrients for your dog. Now, I say 4, there are 44 other ones, and they're all essential. Your dog has to have them, but let's talk about these 4 super quick. First one is calcium. As we know, if you grew up in the United States and you watched the milk commercials growing up, you know calcium builds strong bones. But did you know that calcium needs phosphorus in order to actually create the bone structure that it needs? Without phosphorus, calcium really can't do anything for you. So it's calcium and phosphorus together, and then we have to throw magnesium on top of that too. So now minerals don't act independently of each other. Now they have a symbiotic relationship that by putting these right levels together, you create healthy bone structure. Phosphorus you achieve through meat, and you're going to hear about that in a little bit. So this is required. You need calcium for digestion, blood clotting, squeezing, relaxing muscles, releasing hormones, and proper nerve function. So what happens if I don't have enough calcium? Soft and brittle bones. Yep, got it. Bone disformities, hip dysplasia, stunted growth in puppies. Puppies need calcium. They're growing like crazy. Think of yourself growing up. You ate everything that came to you. You ate and ate and ate and ate. Well, your puppy is wanting to do the same thing. So tooth deformities and tooth loss. If we see tooth loss inside a dog, or you're having to pull teeth, or the teeth are rotting, that points to a calcium deficiency. Another one is excess. Weakness, listless, increased drinking and urination, loss of appetite. So if your dog is getting too much calcium, you may see some of these. And you're going to see increased drinking and urination come up in multiple slides over the next few minerals that we're going to go over, is because your dog naturally is wanting to get rid of it. And so your dog is crazy smart. It knows what it should be eating and what it shouldn't be eating. So if I feel that my dog doesn't have enough calcium, where can I get it? Well, bones, of course. Throw an uncooked raw bone out for your pet. It is wonderful for them to do. They are going to get the marrow inside. They're going to get all those pieces, and they're also going to clean their teeth by eating bone. Do not cook the bone. The bone splinters when you cook it. You don't want to give splintered bones. Your dog has these huge teeth in its mouth, and it can chew the edge of the bone, and we're going to allow them to do that. So spinach is also a really good area. Just be really careful. When you give a vegetable matter to your pet, some pets lack the enzymes in their stomachs to break it down. Case in point, my dog Leo. I cannot feed him spinach. He itches like crazy. And when I figured that out, then all of a sudden, I just take spinach out of his diet and I find calcium in other ways for him. Also, whole fish, bone and everything. You want to feed the tail, the skin, the bone, the whole fish. And so every once in a while, I'll throw in sardines into Leo's. And then we have a Chihuahua too. His name is Mr. Cha-Cha. I give sardines to both Leo and Mr. Cha-Cha when not every day, but probably every fourth day, I'll throw it into his diet. And then another one is raw goat milk. That's a really good source of calcium, but make sure it's raw because you're wanting to get all of that good bacteria in that raw goat milk as well. So next one is iron. So iron combines with copper and protein to form hemoglobin, that molecule in red blood cells that carries oxygen. So it makes a strong red blood cell. So then iron is also necessary for certain enzymes inside the body to function normally. That's why if you don't have enough iron, you will see your dog become anemic. So iron deficiencies, anemia, weakness, increased susceptibility to stress or disease, constipation, gums and inside that appear pale and white. So one way that I check for Leo's iron levels is I will lift his gum, and if he gets any pasty white in his gum, I go and see my vet. And I talked to my vet and I said, this is what I'm seeing, but a good integrative medicine vet, one that's going to take time with you and talk to you and talk about their nutrition and talk about what you're feeding. And in some cases, you may just be low on organ meat because that's where they get it. Now, if I have an excess iron, your dog's going to vomit. It's going to have diarrhea. It's going to be lethargic, dizzy, confusion. I mean, this is everything with it. Your dog knows if it's not feeling well and it's getting too much iron. It is rare that I see excess iron. It's more common that I see iron that doesn't meet the minimum requirement. So where do I get iron? Once again, spinach, liver. Really what I should change that slide to is just organ meat. And it should be a blend of organ meats, not just liver, but brain, spleen, kidney, intestine. Think of the rabbit again. That your dog isn't going through the rabbit and going, oh, I think I feel like heart today. I think I'm just going to eat the heart. No. It eats all of it. And so really it's getting that blend of organ meat as well. Also, there are some seaweeds that have that fresh food source of iron. Next one, magnesium. Magnesium is my favorite because I have a 17-year-old son. And whenever he gets angry, he's usually showing a magnesium deficiency. So it's needed for hundreds of biochemical reactions in the body. It maintains normal nerve and muscle function, supports healthy immune system, keeps the heartbeat steady, helps bones remain strong, regulates blood glucose levels, and aids in the production of energy and protein. I would say for all the minerals that you have, this one plays such a critical role in all the other minerals that you are going to consume. When I said earlier that calcium needs magnesium, magnesium is a building block. It's one of those minerals that comes in and helps support magnesium to create that healthy bone structure. So if my dog is deficient, I'm going to see spasms, seizures, heart trouble, anxiety. They're going to be lethargic. They have GI or urinary issues with a lack of magnesium. Also, magnesium excesses, I see impaired nerve impulses, nausea, vomiting, weakness, lowered heart rate. You really, because magnesium plays all of these roles for your dog's health, that's where they start to touch into multiple areas if they're deficient or have excess. So where do I get magnesium? If I think my dog is low in magnesium, eggs. Make sure they're eggs that are pasture raised. Don't do conventional raised eggs because they're feeding that chicken corn, and chicken should eat bugs. So just like our pets, we got to take a look at the food sources or the sources of food that our animals are eating. So chickens should eat bugs. We should be feeding chickens bugs. Cows eat grass because they have a 3-chambered stomach and they're a ruminant animal. And so they should be eating grass, and good, healthy grass that hasn't been laced with chemicals. We shouldn't be eating animals coming out of a feedlot. They're feeding them corn, and they're feeding them all this byproduct, and they're pumping them full of all this stuff to make their cow bigger, but it doesn't make them healthier. Another area is pumpkin and squash. Come fall, in about another 2 weeks, I'm going to begin adding pumpkin to Leo's diet to increase his magnesium for the winter. And then another one there, fish again. Fish is one of those things that are really good. Full bone in, full fish. So then the last one I'm going to talk about is phosphorus. So phosphorus works with calcium to help build bones. I think we hit that a couple times. And dogs need the right amount of both calcium and phosphorus for that bone health. Plays an important structural role in nucleic acids and cell membranes, and it is involved in the body's energy production. What happens if they're not getting enough phosphorus? They're difficulty breathing, uneven heart rate, they're lethargic, they're tired all the time, muscle weakness, muscle spasms, seizures, weak bones or lameness or fractures because they're not building that healthy bone structure. If I have too much, there you go, excessive thirst and urination. My dog wants to get rid of it. Muscle tremors, muscle wasting, seizures, and decreased bone density. But where do I get phosphorus from? Meat. Muscle meat has the highest level of phosphorus that you can get. You can also do eggs. Once again, pasture raised, not conventionally raised eggs. And also fish. There's our fish again. So really, by adding and making sure that it has a healthy level of phosphorus, we can help our dogs be as healthy as they can be. So really, when we look at a lot of these pieces, we're looking at all of this as a balanced level. I love how Dr. Marty said that when we feed our pet, it's not just the same food every day. And this is one of the issues with kibble. Not only are we feeding our dogs a cereal-based grain product, they are allowed to put things in that product to meet minimum AVCO standards. AVCO is the body that sets the mineral and the nutrient levels within pet food. And they've recently lowered the amount of protein required in the pet's diet. Now, being that your animal is a carnivore and every once in a while eats blueberries and raspberries off of trees. I know my dog eats crabgrass in the backyard. So, but it's not their primary diet. Their primary diet is meat. And so when we actually limit that out of their diet, we're getting their bodies are trying to find a different way to fill that nutrient gap. So what happens is our pet food companies are actually adding synthetic vitamins and minerals because remember, when they make that kibble product, they heat it up to such a high temperature that it kills everything in it. And so then they have to add it back in with a mineral pack. And when they add that back in, so for example, they have to add 5 times the amount of selenium into that mineral pack than the minimum standard AVCO has set. And it's all because that it's not bioavailable for them. That's why I love Dr. Marty's supplements, is that those supplements are bioavailable for your dog. It means your dog can absorb the supplement and actually use it instead of having another synthetic getting thrown in, that we're having to add all these levels of an actual vitamin to actually go into it, not knowing if they're meeting that minimum standard or not. So when we test dogs that are kibble fed, we actually see selenium levels at a dangerously high level because they're adding so much into the food itself without really testing it to make sure that the dog can actually absorb it into their cells and use it. So when you look at all these areas that affect dog health, the biggest thing that that I always was curious about is, am I doing it right? I had no idea. My pet is not telling me, yeah, I feel great today, Matt. This is wonderful. No, there's nothing like that. I wished our pets could talk to us, but they can't.
Matt, I'm going to reel you in. I'm so sorry. We're already over and we've got questions and giveaways. So thank you.
I'm super happy. Everything's good.
Okay, so I am going to shut down your PowerPoint.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so you are giving away one of your nutritional blueprints that we just talked about, and that is so cool. That is a $250 value, everyone. Mm-hmm. So Matt, I'm going to have you ask a question. Make sure everybody was paying attention, and the first person to correctly answer is going to get a free nutritional blueprint.
Awesome. What are the 2 minerals needed to create healthy bone structure?
All right. Can you see the comments, Matt?
Yeah, I can. I think have we had it pop up yet? All I see is the last one. Ah, there you go. Madeline got it. Calcium.
Madeline, winner. Yay.
Way to go.
And everybody that won a prize, if you could email me, I'll put that right here, and give me your shipping information. There you go. All right, Madeline, way to go. And we have one more giveaway from Dr. Marty as well. So right now I'm going to bring Dr. Marty and Dr. Dodds up here so we can all be on the stage and answer the remaining questions and do the final giveaway. Hi, Dr. Marty.
Hi.
And I just invited Dr. Dodds. And there she is.
Oh my God, Dr. Dodds, I've been wanting to meet you for so long. Oh.
I'm here.
You guys go way back. Who are you kidding?
Yeah, way back.
Way back.
Right. We used to.
All right.
The Stegosaurus you referred to me that I had GI problems or
you guys
tail amputation.
All right. For the people that did not win a nutritional blueprint, Matt and the team at Parsley Pet are still giving an amazing discount, and I'm putting that in the comments right now. So for $25 off, WAG 25. So you'll see that right there in the comments with the URL. So I have taken it. It's amazing. It changed my dog's life. Okay, we are running over, but this is all great information, and I'm going to try to get to everybody's question. All right, so you guys let me know who wants to answer this. What kinds of food or products would you recommend to increase better microbiome in our dogs? Maybe Dr. Dodds can answer that.
Gene.
Okay, I'll answer that. But first, before I do that, I wanted to comment. One of the speakers said that they didn't want to see slides of cancer in human gut. There's no slides of human gut cancer. There were only cartoon diagrams of how the bowel can get damaged and grow things. There's nothing. We would never do that kind of thing. So I want to assure you, Rain, that the slides do not show that. And an answer to do that is the same thing that Marty said. We need to give healthy prebiotics and probiotics to enhance the bowel along with the appropriate minerals and vitamins, as Matt also has so elegantly explained. to keep the bowel happy and healthy, along with the meat and the appropriate fresh food diets with variety, right, Marty?
Yeah, man.
All right, thank you. Okay, our next question from Anne. She asks, use Flagyl, yes or no, when all else fails? Who would like to take that one?
Well, it depends what all else is. I've seen so many animals on chronic Flagyl come to us, and we would go on nutritional supplements and they get better. So we don't know what all else is, right, G?
But Marty, sometimes an acute explosive bowel, inflammatory, painful abdomen, you need to use something like metronidazole.
Oh, I agree.
2 or 3 days only. We're not talking about, we need to address the underlying problem as you so elegantly described.
Yeah, I would say Flagyl is probably my favorite drug in my alternative career. I mean, I love it. You could have a dog that has diarrhea for 3 weeks. You give 1 tablet of Flagyl, and the next stool is normal. It's a miracle drug and it enhances liver function, but we don't know what all else means.
Correct. There are other things we can use instead. Sometimes you use it. What we're saying is we use it in an acute situation to stabilize the patient so we can do the magic that we do otherwise.
Yeah, and that's one of the big points that I and Jean are trying to represent, because she comes from both sides. We know that, is that this is about integrative medicine. This is not the competition between, alternatives and conventional medicine. And a true holistic veterinarian is one that looks at the body as a whole and uses both aspects of what that person has learned medically, alternative and conventional. So true holistic medicine is integrative medicine. And, the veterinarian that doesn't believe in the use of medication is what I term assholistic.
You can't just dismiss one area of medicine. You have to do it in an adjunctive, integrative, complementary way. Absolutely, 100%. Right, Matt?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, go, Matt.
All right, the next question. I find it's tough to bridge the gap between feeding dry dog food and feeding freeze-dried. The bags of freeze-dried are very small. Do you have any advice on sort of deprogramming our minds away from feeding dry, how to feed freeze-dried properly, and are the proportions different when feeding a freeze-dried diet? Anybody?
I mean, I have freeze-dried food, so I could answer it.
Okay, that would be great.
You got to realize that the dry food is just filler. I mean, it's just baked. It's, it's just loaded with these, what we call filler foods, which is, I read the ingredient list before. Barley, grain, brown rice, it's just loaded with stuff. So it will fill a dog and a cat up, where when you feed real food that is almost 100% usable by the body, it's a transition they have to go through to get used to that. And, because real food is probably more expensive initially, it'll save you so much more on medical expenses later on, but it's a transition of acclimation, because they'll get so much more nutritive value from eating a whole food than cupcakes and jelly donuts.
That is true.
One of the things in that regard, Krista, is we would like at Hemopet to offer, to help what Matt and Marty have said, is a Nutriscan and Cell Bio test system. So any of the people, whoever wants to take the first stab at it or do that, they can go on our website. What do you want to say? I'm sorry. Charles, what do you want to say?
Hey, Charles, come on.
Anyway,
I'll tell you what it is. We're in the marketing business. We're offering a free cell bio kit for anyone, first come, first serve. And we're offering a Nutriscan test at a special price of $250, which is normally $298. That's the auction. Anyone better? Anyone want it?
Well, why don't we go first with Cell Bio Kit? Dr. Dodds, you want to ask a question from your presentation and see who handled it correctly?
What are biomarkers of oxidative stress? Give me one example.
One example of a biomarker for oxidative stress.
Maybe it was too long ago. Just say smoking, okay?
Oh, fat. Madeline says fat.
Okay, that's
Is that
fine.
correct?
That's one of them, yeah.
Okay, so
Okay, move one.
Madeline gets a free Cell Bio Kit.
And we're offering a special discount on Nutriscan food intolerance tests, which will help identify which foods the animal shouldn't eat, so that you can go on Dr. Marty's supplements or diets, or what Matt has suggested about the minerals, okay?
Okay, so if you can put that in the comments, one of you, either Charles or Dr. Dodds, with the URL and what they get and what the discount code is, that would be great. While we're in the giving mood, Dr. Marty.
Yeah, man.
We've got one more Dr. Marty's kit. If you can ask a question and we will do the final giveaway, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, so as I said in my presentation, I've used a lot of associates. I've called Gene thousands of times and emailed Gene over my career. And I believe in using a lot of associates and this and that. But there are two associates that I've had since I woke up to what health is. And also, everyone that is listening also has those two associates. What are they? Who are they? Who are the two associates that are more prominent in the field of healthcare than any veterinary associate there is? Here they come.
Okay. Ashley says common sense and Mother Nature.
She's got it.
Okay.
100%, 1,000%. You know, they forgot about common sense when we all went to school, right, Marty?
That's right. There's another associate. It's called Wake the Hell Up.
You know what, Ashley, did you not win the first one? Did you already win the first hit?
Yep, she doesn't. They don't.
So, yeah, she won already. Okay, so the next person, that would be Tracy. So
Tracy
is the winner.
Yay, Tracy.
So all the winners, if you could please again email me the shipping information. Okay, and Madeline was so sweet. She said, I won already for the Cell Bio Kit. She already wanted Dr. Marty kit, so she said that she is willing to give that to somebody else. She's very sweet. So Liz Byrne said itchy skin. Is that a precursor, Dr. Dodd?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so we have Liz.
Okay, and as far as the Nutriscan kit is concerned, you need to write to nutriscan@hemopet.org, say that you're on the program and you want the special discount price of $250, and we need your mailing address to mail you the kit needed for this test. The kit is free.
Okay, so the kit is free.
And the test is $250. That's $50 off the list price. And it'll tell for a dog or a cat, and it'll tell you which of the special foods in our novel patented test the pet should not eat. So they were going to have nuts, minerals, and whatever, or Marty's special food. They'll know which foods the pet should have and should not have.
Okay.
For a healthy bowel.
You want the test for $250, which is $50 off.
Right. And we need the mailing address of the person to mail them the kit to collect the dog's or cat's saliva, and it's free. The kit's free. We'll mail it wherever, even to Timbuktu. We do this test all over the world, so it's not a problem.
It is free.
The kit is free. The test is $50 off the list price.
Okay.
Nutriscan at hemopet.org.
Okay, I just put it in there. Hopefully I got it right. If you look at the comments. Okay, I know we are over, but I am so sorry. I've got questions here. If we can just wrap up quick. The next question, what do you say about leaky gut, which my dog is being treated for, and I see good results? Jennifer.
Well, that's what you're going to be doing with leaky gut. The one you have to do with leaky gut is you have to smooth down the bile. You have to balance it. And we need to know what the microbiome's doing. We need to know what food intolerances the pet may have, because that's really important for the gut. And we're going to use the licorice and the other things that can, like slippery elm bowel powder or whatever, to stabilize the bowel with the appropriate minerals and vitamins, etc.
Okay, good answer. What is your advice for omega-3 supplements, given how rancid fish oils can get when exposed to air?
Get one that's certified not rancid and keep them refrigerated.
Right.
Yeah.
You can use krill oil or anchovy oil. You can use plant oils like borage oil, moringa oil, olive oil, right, Marty? Sunflower oil.
Yep.
Depending on what the animal tolerates, right? But they definitely need omega-3 fatty acids as well as a little omega-6s.
That's right. And a 4 to, what is it, a 4-to-1 ratio, Miss Scientist?
9-to-1 actually for the pet, Marty, and no omega-9 because it's a neutral thing for pets. It's anywhere from 4 to 5-to-1 to 9-to-1, depending on who you need.
Yeah,
wow.
right.
What do you use? What do you use, Marty?
It means fish, some krill oils.
No, but what ratio?
Oh, between 4 and 5. I actually wrote it in my new book that you contributed to.
I know I did. Okay,
Yeah, between 4 and 5 to 1.
One that's an ancient crustacean. Krill oil is excellent. Anchovy oil is also very good.
Okay.
Imagine that.
If one makes their own food for dog food, what supplements should I add to make sure he gets complete nutrition? This is Rain asking the question.
Matt,
you want to answer that?
Ooh.
Hello, Matt.
Skyped out.
Oh, he's...
Matt, you're
Here,
muted.
I got you on now. Oh, you just toggled it off. Okay, now.
Okay, I'm off mute. I'm good. Can you repeat the question one more time for me?
If one makes their own food for dog food, what supplements should I add to make sure he gets complete nutrition? And this is Rain asking the question.
You know what? Anytime I make dog food is I want to make sure I'm addressing it with whole food first. So, for example, making sure that you have at least a 10 to 15% mix of ground bone in there. And so then you're looking at other bone sources for supplements and that type of stuff. So I have a 14-year-old Chihuahua and a 7-year-old Catahoula. I've never had to supplement them. And so really when we start to approach it with that whole food basis, bone is key for that. Then I have that muscle meat as a different blend. So I'll feed duck, chicken, pork, and so it's all coming from my raw food suppliers. And then also organ meat is a balance of that organ. So brain, spleen, intestine, I'm also putting liver in there. So really by going after that area. And then what I want to do is I want to observe my pet. If I feel they're deficient in any one of those areas, and also maybe take, our test partially pet or go to your vet. And if you see deficiencies starting to come up, then by going to like the Dr. Marty supplement line and starting to take a look at, okay, what specific supplements do I need to add instead of just throwing all of it at that. So I don't think to answer that question, what specific supplement is right, it really all depends on your pet and what your pet needs during that time.
Okay, thank you.
My youngest daughter's middle name is Rain.
That's a beautiful name.
Yeah, Ayla Rain with an E at the end.
Dr. Dodds, I put you on mute because I was getting a lot of back noise.
That's Charles.
I'll put you on again.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Charles is.
Oh, it's really loud. Okay, we just have a few more to go. Dr. Marty, do you read blood results the same way a typical vet would?
Absolutely not.
How do you do it?
Well, I've learned over the years it's the work of a genius in the human field from the 1940s, Dr. Royal Lee, how to analyze the typical SMA 16, 20, or 24 results metabolically with indications towards organ function. And it was just something I studied in the 70s and the 80s. And when we applied it to animals who are true gland eaters, not so much humans, our clinical response was dramatic. So, the clinic Smith Ridge, where I set it up. I retired from clinical practice from there, but I'm still doing it.
Okay. Yeah, Dr. Dodds, I'm going to put you on mute again. It's really loud. Okay, and I don't know.
Uh-oh. We lost Krista.
Times. Okay.
There she is.
So Matt, Dr. Dodds.
Look at my suntan. Hey, Gene?
Matt, can you put your video back on? For some reason, it's not there. Okay, let's see what other questions. We have two more. My dog is a 16-year-old Shih Tzu Maltese cross. For years, he has had high-level copper readings and a high liver count.
Whoa.
I cook his protein, hi, Matt, and ground veggies and organ meats are raw. I have never been able to figure out the source. Have test water pipes in the home. Any suggestion?
Gene, that's you.
So high-level copper readings and high liver count. And I got to put Gene off of mute. Okay, go, Gene, go.
If you're eating your own human-grade foods, there shouldn't be that much copper in them. The problem is that most commercial pet foods have had way too much copper in them. So you can't get that information often from the bag. You have to call the technical representatives at the company and ask them how many parts per million of copper is in the food, and you don't want more than 10 or 12. You need 11, right, Marty?
Yes.
So you have to be careful. You don't want more than 10 or 12 parts per million, which is equivalent to 10 or 12 parts of milligrams per kilogram of copper in the food that the pet is eating.
Matt, do you have anything to add to that?
You can try to chelate the copper, but it doesn't work.
You took the words out of my mouth.
The penicillamine and stuff, and they just get sick when you do that. Marty, you have other ideas?
I've done 45,000 cases on intravenous vitamin C.
Okay.
And the metabolic functional pathways of the liver, the pyruvate pathway functions on ascorbic acid, and we've seen dramatic response on any kind of liver disease and the chelating out of any kind of poison or heavy mineral. So find some veterinarian that's well experienced on the AHVMA site that works with the use of intravenous vitamin C therapy.
Yeah, high dose vitamin C, correct.
Works
Dr.
great.
Dean, I'm going to mute you again because
too.
people are saying it's really loud. Okay. Matt, do you have anything to add on the high level of copper?
Yeah, so copper and zinc have an interdependent relationship with it. They brought up, both Dr. Dodds and Dr. Marty brought up great points with that. But typically when we see high copper levels, you can automatically assume zinc is going to be in the basement. So what you want to do is, what we say is, start adding whole food zinc back into the diet, and it'll begin to chelate out some of the copper at a very slow level. If it is something that needs immediate attention, definitely go see your vet. Go talk to like the vitamin C therapy. Yes, they are seeing some incredible results coming out of that. But if you're looking at just a slow move, which we highly recommend on anything, is make that slow move up by increasing the zinc level, and copper will come down. Perfect.
Okay. All right. Well, we have answered all of the questions. I want to thank all of you for being here today, and for all of you that have bared with us in these awful technical technical issues. I am so sorry. If anybody that is left can just say something in the comments, what is your takeaway from this? You know, did you find value? Is there anything that you're going to implement that you've learned from any of our experts? Dr. Dodds, I'm going to mute you again. Sorry. Now, you'll notice a green button at the bottom of your screen, and if you're not a member already, we invite you to be a part of the free WAG Out Loud Unleashed community. We continue the discussions about canine health and wellness, and that's where you're going to learn about future events like this one and limited time offers on some of our favorite dog products. So please join us there. Again, it's the Facebook group, but just go to wagoutloud.com and you can learn all about it. Here are comments coming in, what people have learned. Food equals medicine for us.